Now that we have learned the secrets of driving the freeways and the surface streets, the next question that arises is, which one to use when? Given a choice, most of us opt for the freeways. In fact, in cities where freeways are available, 50% of the commuters take the freeway to get to work. And yet, freeways only make up about 3% of the road pavement in this country. So is it any wonder that the freeways are constantly jammed during rush hour? However, being a smart commuter means that you are open to all options, and that includes alternate routes. So when the freeways get jammed up, you should take a surface street. The question arises is, which surface street to take? Now, fortunately, in some areas of the country, this has been figured out for you in the form of map books, which describe exactly where to go. One such example is this book, Freeway Alternates. It's written by me. But in other cities, you'll find books like this as well, so just check with your bookstore to see if they're available. What if books like this aren't available where you're at? Not to worry, because now I'm going to tell you the same tips and pointers that I use to discover my routes, so you'll know how to find surface streets on your own. All it takes is a little pioneer spirit, like Lewis and Clark searching for the Northwest Passage, or Daniel Boone scouting out the Cumberland Gap. You too can venture out and find surface streets on your own, and this will give you the wisdom to master those as well. Killed him a bear when he was on... Whoa, howdy! I'm currently on the trail of some good alternate routes. And alternate routes aren't that hard to find, and they're not going to be for you now that you're going to learn some valuable pointers and tips about finding surface street shortcuts. First of all, you should always rely on your trusty local road map. Before you start scouting for off-freeway routes in the field, you should scout them out on a map first. And start by looking for streets that cut a straight line to your destination, for example. And keep in mind the following pointers. For example, try to avoid streets that have on-ramps to freeways. The whole idea is to avoid the freeways when they are plugged up. When that's the case, the roads leading to them are usually plugged up as well. So stay away from on and off-ramp areas, and you can save a lot of time by avoiding messes like that. What is a real discovery, on the other hand, is a street that goes over or under a freeway without ramps. These are the kind that really save you time. I'm only a half mile away from the other street, yet you can see that there is a fraction of the traffic on this street. Let the others get bogged down at the ramps, and you will go a lot further, faster on streets like this. Now, to carry the same theory of avoiding freeways one step further, I recommend that you avoid streets that are immediately parallel to the freeway. If the folks on the freeway can see the street, odds are that street will be crowded when the freeway's crowded. Now, here's a perfect example. Note the volume of traffic and how close this street is to the freeway. However, I'm just 2 blocks away from the street you just saw, and I'm still paralleling the freeway. Yet you can see that there is much less activity on a street that is at least a half a mile away from the freeway. I'm still paralleling the freeway, but again, I'm not right next to it. Another place you will find plenty of activity is on what I call glamour streets. These are well-known streets in your community. Usually they are commercial or shopping districts. Unless you want to buy something, avoid them. There's nothing slower than shopping traffic. Now, you might get away with taking a street like this in the early morning hours, but I guarantee that you will get burned if you attempt this feat in the afternoon on your way home from work. Instead, you will probably have much better luck driving through industrial areas. These streets may be a little bumpy, but they are usually nice and wide to accommodate big rigs. So if you don't mind passing a truck or two, I believe you will be quite satisfied with the time savings afforded by the open streets through industrial parks. Now, you may get too enthusiastic about finding cuts. What you don't want to do is cut through residential neighborhoods on small local streets. These streets may look good on a map, but they will slow you down horribly with their many stop signs, dips in the road, curving streets, and pedestrians. It's best to avoid them entirely. Instead, what you do want to seek out are areas with railroad tracks. That's right, railroad tracks. Streets that parallel tracks oftentimes go for long stretches without interruption. This lack of cross traffic means less stops for you. You'll beat your co-workers to the office if you have enough of these streets on your route. And finally, one last pointer, is to hunt out one-way streets whenever you can. One-way streets are purposely designed by traffic engineers to move huge volumes of traffic quickly and efficiently. You may want to be part of that quickness, so follow those unidirectional streets for fast relief. Okay, we just covered a lot of secrets on finding alternate routes. Let's review them quickly. Check a road map first. Avoid streets with freeway ramps. Use streets that cross freeways without ramps. Avoid streets right next to the freeway. Use parallel streets at least a half mile away from the freeway. Avoid shopping districts. Use streets in industrial areas. Avoid residential neighborhoods. Use streets that parallel railroad tracks. And finally, use one-way streets. With these tips, you should have no trouble finding alternate routes. This will add to your arsenal of time-saving tips to get you to work on time and back home even quicker. But what if you're not good with the map, or you get lost easily on unknown streets? Don't feel alone. Even trailblazers such as Daniel Boone gets lost in virgin territory. I'm sure even he heard the most famous statement of all.
Honey, why don't you just pull over and ask for directions?